And, and when we are parenting in fear, there that creates friction. So doing radical self-care is kind of what helps you to get to that place of loving yourself, but it's also just being present to the other people in your life in that space of love versus the fear.
I'm sure that's hard. I think that's hard for some people. Like, I think I'm sitting here thinking about these three things. So I'm going to hear Lauren's first. So we've got belief in yourself. We've got to love yourself. Before I dive into this, Lauren, what would be your one big piece of advice?
I would say you need to know yourself. So my advice would be that you are worth taking the time to figure out what actually matters to you and to embrace that. I think being a woman in the world, we are handed a long list of things that need to matter to us. A long list of priorities which belong to other people, a long list of the needs we need to of other people that we need to serve. And I think a lot of women go through life not knowing what they want from it. They know what they're supposed to do. They know what they're supposed to want. They know that other people need them. But I think very few of us sit down and take the time to get curious about what it is that we care about, what our values are, what kind of a life do we want to live. Yeah, I think it's important that we differentiate our needs and wants from the needs and wants from the people around us.
All right, so I'm going to do a little interesting sort of thing with the three of you. So here's what we've got as our big pieces of advice. And I love this. I'm putting this together. So we've got know yourself, love yourself, and believe in yourself. So I'm going to say, and anybody else can say, I think differently. We'll have a fun debate here. Okay. So I'm going to think that before we can do the other two, you've got to know yourself. And I loved that. What matters to you? What are your values? What's important? I loved that piece of advice you gave. Would everybody agree that you kind of need to know yourself before we move into these other two?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So then what comes next is if you love yourself, that'll help you believe in yourself, or if you believe in yourself, you'll learn to love yourself more. I'm sitting here sort of, this is the debate. So what do you think comes next if we were to help people sort of put these into three steps?
I personally think that you need to love yourself before you can actually get to a place of believing in yourself. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't love who you are exactly as you are, then it's going to be really difficult to believe in yourself and spur yourself on and be your biggest cheerleader, because who's going to cheer on someone they don't love, right? It's kind of difficult.
Right. I would agree with that. Does everybody else have any input on that?
I agree with that too. And I think in order to believe in yourself, you need to overcome the fear. I think, there's so much that particularly in the business, having faith in yourself in that way can be really scary. I'm thinking self-sabotage and all of those things that come in. So yeah, having that foundation of love really helps to go further with the belief.
I'm 1000% on the same page. I think that maybe we could stick in a fourth one in between knowing yourself and loving yourself. I think accepting yourself, like what Meggan said, I think that is very important. I think a lot of us spend a lot of time not just accepting and being at peace with who we are.
That's great. So for all of our listeners here, here's our advice for you is you get to know yourself, and you guys can chime in on any one of these things. So get to know yourself, find your values, what matters to you, what you really want, and then and accepting yourself for who you are. And I think that comes in with comparing yourself to others. That is one of the big things of self-sabotage, and accepting you for exactly who you are, not wishing you were somebody else.
Yes, that is huge. That's one of the biggest holdups I see for so many women and entrepreneurs especially is the comparison game,
Mm-hmm.
feeling like,
Mm-hmm.
they're not as far ahead as someone else. And what they don't understand about that is that our success is just like an iceberg, right? You think someone has overnight success, but it's been a 13-year journey to even get to a place where they can accept that they could be successful. So,
Right.
we compare ourselves to each other's journeys without understanding where anybody is at on them. And it's just silly, but
Yeah.
it's human nature, I think, also. So yeah, comparison
Agreed.
is not anybody's friend to compare.
Right. So we've got knowing yourself, what matters, accepting yourself, not comparing yourself to others, and then loving yourself. And again, that is through self-care. And what are some other ways to really honor yourself?
I think, having firm boundaries and knowing yourself, throwing in yet another one, knowing yourself enough to really have confidence in
I love
setting the
that.
boundaries. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And then number 4 is believe in yourself. What are, and I know that this is just so important, but what are some things that people can do to really help them get to that point of believing in themselves? Any one of you can chime in. Like what are some little, trying to create this outline and then giving a couple little bullet points and things for them to actually take action on. So how does one begin to believe in themselves?
I think for me, the biggest key was, first of all, getting around other people who would speak life into me and who believed in me when I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even believe in myself. Because, sometimes we're in a place where we're just not capable of that yet. And if we're still surrounded by negativity and we're still surrounded by people who don't believe in us, then it's almost impossible to grow from that situation. So getting around people who actually believe in you and cheer you on and, know that you can do anything, those are the people that change your life. And eventually you start to believe their words and you start to say, okay, I mean, maybe you're onto something here. And then also getting to a place where you're not dependent on other people for whatever it is you want to do. Like I needed the rug to be pulled out from under me, and a business relationship just failed miserably, and I needed that to happen. So looking at the things that happen to you as possible, training ground, or it's not necessarily a catastrophe. It could be the best thing that ever happened to you. So just changing your perspective on some of the things that happen in your life, and not viewing them as the horrible tragedy that you think it is. It might actually
Mm-hmm.
be awesome. And it might be what you needed to stand on your own 2 feet and start to do the things.
Well, that's great. And, I just want to add this because I do train this a lot for people that are mentoring others, is people need to know that you believe in them. Like people don't truly believe in themselves until they do know other people believe in them and sort of surround themselves with those positive people. But for us as mentors and as coaches, and sometimes that's a piece we forget. Like we're always trying to teach and instruct, but we really sometimes just need to let people know we believe in them and we think that they're capable. And it's sort of this missed piece that people don't want to freely give that away, or they feel like they can't unless they're asked for it. You know what I mean? And I really think that we need to show up in showing others we believe in them and what their capabilities are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, this has been delightful, ladies. I want to go back to the very beginning here, and we'll put in the show notes on where to find you. And I'm guessing you're all on social media, and they can find you in those places. So we'll make sure we put that in all of the show notes. But the book is The Truth About Success, and they can get that right now on Amazon.
Yes, they can.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for being our guest today. This has been a really insightful and wonderful interview. And thank you so much for the work that you do, especially in really helping women to work on all these things in their lives. You know, these are things that men need to work on too. But I think, and maybe we shouldn't always say that, like this is for women. It's because that we're constantly saying that men struggle with some of these same things, but nobody wants to talk about it. So for all our male listeners, it's certainly some wise words in not only what you can do in your own life, but how you can support that very special woman in your life.
Thank you so much, Belinda. This was so fun.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank
Belinda.
you.
Time.
Oh, you're welcome. To all of our listeners out there, please, thank you for joining us today. And please remember to subscribe or follow. It is one way that you won't miss a single awesome interview. And we also do Tuesday tips for business tips. If you want to check that out, they're usually very short, sweet, and simple, like 10 to 12, 15 minutes at max. And don't forget to share us with a friend. That is the best form of compliment and leaving a review that we can have. Thank you, everyone. And thank you once again, ladies. And we'll see you next time on Work from Your Happy Place.